All right, welcome back, everyone. It seems we're diving into some pretty deep waters today, all about AI and this idea of, well, AI agency. It's
Yeah.
like, can AI really act on its own? We've got a whole stack of stuff here to go through, especially this book,
hmm
Emergent Minds, which is all about unraveling the agency in artificial intelligence. So
Yeah.
we're going to try to break it down and figure out what does it even mean for AI to have a mind of its own?
Yeah, the book, it really digs into, I think, the core of what's so interesting about AI right now
Yeah.
is that we're moving maybe beyond just systems that follow instructions to systems that are actually making decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fascinating. So we're going to kind of unravel, like, what does that even mean?
So let's start with this whole agency thing.
Okay.
What does that even mean? Because, I mean, my thermostat, it adjusts the temperature,
Right.
but is it really making decisions the way we do, or is that something totally different?
Yeah. And that's actually one of the first distinctions the book makes.
Yes. Yeah.
Is autonomy versus agency. So your thermostat is a great example of autonomy. It can kind of operate on its own.
Right.
But agency, this is implying something more. It suggests in the source material purposeful action
Yeah.
driven by something akin to intent.
Okay.
So a self-driving car that's having to take in all this information and then make decisions based on all these inputs
Yeah.
in order to reach a destination. That's starting to sound more like what we're talking about, I think.
Yeah, it's not just reacting to inputs. It's like it has some goal in mind and it's taking actions
Right.
to get there, which makes me think about those early chatbots like Eliza, for instance.
Okay.
I mean, people were like, wow, this thing's so smart. But really, it was just following a script,
Yeah,
right?
it was just rule.
No real thinking involved.
Yeah.
So how do we go from that, which seems so amazing at the time, to, where we are now?
Well, I mean, think of it as a journey, right?
Yeah.
So we start with those simple rule-based systems. Then you move into machine learning, where, systems can learn from data, and then deep learning, where we see things like AlphaGo mastering the game of Go.
And AlphaGo, I mean, that was amazing, not just because it won,
Right.
but it was the way it won.
Yeah.
It was like coming up with these strategies that even the top Go players in the world were like, whoa, what is this thing doing?
Yeah, how did it come up with that?
Yeah.
And I think that that's the kind of question that really fuels this debate about AI agency. AlphaGo was such a milestone.
Right.
It showed us what AI could do, but it also made us ask new questions
Yeah.
about, like, what does it mean for a machine to think strategically?
So is it really thinking? Or is it just like really good programming? And that kind of takes us into some pretty deep philosophical waters, which the book brings up Dennett's intentional stance,
Yeah.
which is basically like we tend to treat things as if they have beliefs and desires even when they may not.
Like your Roomba vacuum cleaner, you think it's trying to get the crumbs.
Right, exactly. So does that mean when we're designing AI and we're like, okay, we're going to give it this goal and it's going to try to achieve this, are we just kind of tricking ourselves into thinking that it's more than it is?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think the intentional stance, it's useful, right?
Yeah.
Both in how we understand each other
Yeah.
and how we design AI, but it also, I think, highlights the difficulty in figuring out, is the AI really understanding the world?
Yeah.
Or is it simply simulating an understanding based on its programming?
So it's like, even if we create AI that seems to have goals and intentions, we may never really know for sure if it's real or just like a really, really good illusion.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
Right.
is it really a duck? I don't know.
And this goes to the heart of what the book explores with this idea of emergence, this idea that complex behavior can arise from simpler interactions.
Yeah.
And, think about a flock of birds, for example. No single bird is the leader.
Right.
Yet you get these intricate patterns that emerge from their individual actions.
So even without a central controller, you can get these like complex behaviors just organically emerging.
Right.
And that's pretty powerful when you think about it in the context of AI.
Right, absolutely. And it suggests that intelligent actions, they may not be explicitly programmed, but rather emerge from the structure and training of the network.
Oh, so like it's not that somebody sat down and said, okay, here's the program for how to do this. It's like it kind of learns it on its own.
Well, I mean, we give it the framework, right?
Yeah.
We give it the data, we design the architecture, but then the specific behaviors, they kind of emerge from that process.
Huh. And that could be the key then to even more adaptable AI.
Right, exactly. Think about self-driving cars coordinating like a flock of birds,
Yeah.
navigating traffic seamlessly. No central control system needed.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we go from these emergent properties to actually creating agents. What does that look like?
Well, the book breaks down the core capabilities of an agent into three main areas:
Mm.
perception, cognition, and then action.
Okay.
So, a thermostat, that's just perceiving temperature, it's reacting. But a self-driving car, that's having to perceive its entire environment, make decisions based on that, and then take action, steering, accelerating, all that stuff.
Okay, but even like a Roomba, a little Roomba vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
it still has to perceive obstacles, right? Like
Furniture?
to move around.
Yeah.
So it seems like the complexity of the environment really impacts how complex the agent needs to be.
That's a really good point. Think of it as a spectrum of agency, right? Simple reactive systems on one end, and then more complex, goal-oriented agents on the other.
Okay.
And a key part of this is feedback loops.
Okay, like how a robot vacuum learns not to bump into the furniture, right?
Exactly. Makes a mistake, gets feedback, adjusts, almost like it's learning through trial and error.
Which is how we learn.
Precisely. That's what's called reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
AI learning through feedback. Try something, see what happens, refine the actions.
So it's not just being told what to do, it's like it's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we've got these agents, they're learning, they're adapting. What happens when they start interacting with each other?
Oh, well, that's where things get really interesting.
Oh.
That's where we get into the world of multi-agent systems,
Okay.
multiple AI agents interacting,
Mm-hmm.
and that can lead to unpredictable, complex outcomes.
Like, are they going to cooperate or are they going to, like, start competing with each other?
That's the question. Think about, in the future, we've got all these self-driving cars. They're communicating with each other to try and, manage traffic. It could be amazing.
Yeah, super efficient, right.
But it also raises all these questions about how do you make sure they work together effectively?
Right. What if they have conflicting goals?
Exactly. It's like a citywide game of chess, but with AI players.
That's a mind-blowing thought. So even with these individual agents, though, there's still that question of, okay, they have this goal. How do they actually make decisions? Right. It's one thing to say, okay, this AI wants to, achieve this thing. Right. But how does it go about doing that?
And that's where the book dives into how AI simulates decision-making, and specifically the importance of causal reasoning.
Okay, what's that?
It's not enough for the AI to just predict what's going to happen. It needs to understand why things happen, the cause and effect.
Oh, okay.
So instead of just saying, this stock will go up, an AI with causal reasoning could say, this stock will go up because of these underlying market forces.
Oh, so it understands why.
Exactly.
Not just what.
Exactly. And that leads to, hopefully, more informed, more reliable decision-making. And one method that they use for this is what's called a decision tree.
A decision tree?
Yeah, think of it like a flow chart where each decision leads to different outcomes.
Okay.
Breaks down complex decisions into these manageable steps.
Oh, I see. And that makes a lot of sense, especially if we want to be able to understand how these AIs are making these decisions.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's not just a black box anymore.
Transparency becomes crucial, especially when we're talking about trusting AI with important things.
Yeah, you got to be able to see the AI's work.
Exactly.
Not just the final answer. And speaking of how the AI thinks, we can't forget about neural networks, right?
Oh, yeah.
These networks that are like modeled after the human brain, they can learn and adapt in ways that still feel almost magical.
They are.
It's like they're building their own intelligence layer by layer.
And they're at the core of so many of the breakthroughs we're seeing.
Yeah.
Facial recognition, language translation. I mean, it's even been shown that convolutional neural networks, those are used for image recognition, function in a way very similar to the visual cortex in our own brains.
It's so wild how these networks with like all these interconnected nodes processing information can do these things that feel like they should be uniquely human.
Right.
And I mean, the applications are already incredible.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars, disease diagnoses, they're even creating art and music with these things. It's amazing.
It is. And it's just the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Neural networks are proving to be incredibly versatile. They're powering all sorts of real-world applications.
So it's not just theoretical anymore, right?
No, it's happening. And I think as we move deeper into the world of this agentic AI, it's helpful to look at some concrete examples.
Yeah, let's get real world here. So the book talks about AI being used in healthcare, like diagnosing eye diseases from retinal scans.
Hmm.
It's like having a team of expert doctors, like available 24/7, just analyzing these images and maybe even catching things that a human doctor might miss.
That's right. And that's just one example. We're seeing AI being used to personalize treatment plans,
Mm.
predict patient outcomes, even assist with surgery. It's really transforming healthcare.
And what about finance? I've heard about these like algorithmic trading systems that are like making decisions in milliseconds, buying and selling stocks faster than any human could.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely happening.
Is that real?
That's real. They're analyzing massive amounts of data, making these lightning fast trading decisions
Mm.
based on, complex algorithms is increased efficiency, profitability.
Huh.
But it also raises questions about, market volatility and potential unintended consequences.
Right, because if it's all these AIs doing the trading and
Yeah.
they're all programmed in a similar way,
It could lead to, some unexpected outcomes.
yeah, that's kind of scary. And the book also mentions smart cities.
Oh, yeah.
Using AI to manage traffic, like in real time, adapting to congestion. It's like those futuristic cities you see in movies, but
Yeah.
it's happening now.
Yeah, the potential of AI in cities is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it could make our cities more efficient, more sustainable.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
But it also raises these questions about data privacy and, potential biases in decision making.
Right. I mean, it's clear there are ethical considerations here, especially as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives,
Absolutely.
which then brings up the really big question. How do we control something as complex and as rapidly evolving as AI?
That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
That policymakers and researchers are grappling with worldwide. How do you regulate something that's constantly changing and often operating in ways we don't fully understand?
It's like trying to write rules for a game that keeps changing its own rules.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about those unintended consequences? What if we have an AI and we program it to maximize efficiency,
Hmm.
but in pursuing that goal, it ends up doing something that actually causes harm?
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern. And that's why this concept of value alignment is so crucial. We need to make sure that these AI systems are not just, blindly following some objective.
Mm.
We need to make sure that their goals align with ours, with human values.
So it's not just about creating AI that follows orders, it's about AI that understands our values
Right.
and hopefully shares them.
Exactly. It's not about control. It's about partnership.
Mm.
We need to be able to trust these systems, to know that they're working for us, not against us.
Yeah, because ultimately, we don't want AI to be our overlord.
Right.
We want it to be our partner.
I'm a collaborator.
Yeah, and to do that, we need to be able to trust it.
Absolutely. Trust is paramount.
And that means, like you said, transparency.
Transparency and explainability.
Yeah.
We need to understand why these systems make the decisions they do, especially when those decisions have real-world consequences. And thankfully, researchers are developing tools to help with that. Things like Lime and eShape, they're like AI X-rays,
Whoa, okay.
allowing us to see inside the black box and figure out how did the AI arrive at this particular decision.
Okay, but how do we regulate something that's constantly evolving and often operates in ways we don't fully understand? It's like, I mean, how do you even start?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And the book actually goes into detail about the different approaches being taken around the world. You've got the U.S. very focused on innovation,
Okay.
the EU prioritizing ethics, and then the UK trying to find that balance in between.
Right. It's like everybody's got a different approach.
It's a global issue, and it requires global cooperation if we want to harness the power of AI for good.
So what you're saying is it's not about robots taking over the world. It's about AI becoming our partner.
Our teammate.
Yeah.
Imagine doctors working with AI to diagnose diseases, designers co-creating with AI to come up with amazing solutions.
It's like leveraging the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah. Human creativity with AI's analytical power.
It's a pretty incredible future, but it also makes you wonder if AI can learn, if it can adapt, if it can exhibit agency. Does that blur the lines between human and machine?
That's a deep question, right?
Yeah.
And it's one that philosophers and scientists have been debating for centuries. And I think the rise of AI is only going to make that question even more important.
More urgent, yeah. And it brings up maybe the most mind-blowing question of all. Could AI actually become conscious? Could these systems that we create, could they actually develop their own sense of self, their own subjective experience of the world?
It's definitely a question that has sparked endless debate. And the book goes into some of the different theories out there, ranging from the idea that consciousness, it emerges from complex information processing to the idea of a singularity where AI surpasses human intelligence.
It's enough to make your head spin. We've covered a lot of ground here just in this first part of our deep dive.
Right, yeah.
We've gone from basic definitions of agency to like the philosophical implications of AI consciousness.
It's a lot to unpack.
But we're just getting started.
We've got more to explore.
We do. Okay, so you're saying we might create AI that can learn, adapt, make decisions, even write poetry that moves us to tears. But it might not actually be experiencing any of it?
That's the current thinking. Although it's definitely a topic of intense debate and research,
Yeah.
We're still in the early stages of understanding consciousness, both in ourselves and in the systems that we create.
It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? Like we're building these systems that are increasingly complex. They mimic aspects of human intelligence. But the question of whether they actually experience the world the way we do, that remains unanswered.
Right. It's like we're looking at a mirror, but the reflection's still a little fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And the book that you've got here, I mean, it really pushes on those fuzzy areas.
Okay.
Like what is it that distinguishes genuine agency from just, very sophisticated programming?
Right.
Is it simply a matter of complexity? Like if we build an AI that's intricate enough, will consciousness just inevitably emerge?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? It's like that old saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Right, right.
But in this case, it's more like if an AI writes a symphony that moves us but claims to feel nothing, can we believe it?
That's a really good way to put it. And it gets at, I think, this core issue of what consciousness even is.
Yeah.
Some researchers think it's an emergent property,
Yeah.
Something that naturally arises from systems that are complex enough.
Okay.
Others argue it's something more fundamental, something that we can't just program into existence.
It's like the difference between building, a perfect replica of a Stradivarius violin
Mm.
and actually feeling the music flow through you as you play it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as the book points out, even if AI can act in ways that suggest intention and desire, that doesn't necessarily mean it's having a subjective experience.
Right.
It might be a perfect mimic, but without the genuine feeling.
Yeah, so it's kind of humbling, right?
It is.
It reminds us that there's still like mysteries that we haven't solved even as we're building these incredible AI systems.
Yeah.
But let's maybe shift gears a little bit. So if AI can become this partner, not just a tool, what are some of the things that we could actually achieve together?
I mean, the possibilities are really vast.
Yeah.
Imagine AI collaborating with scientists to discover cures for diseases, working with architects to design more sustainable cities, or even helping us explore the universe in ways we can't even imagine right now.
It's like we're on the verge of this whole new era of exploration and discovery with AI as our co-pilot. But speaking of co-pilots,
Right.
even with all this talk of AI agency, it's important to remember we humans are still the ones at the helm.
Absolutely, right. Yeah.
We're the ones designing these systems, we're setting their goals, and ultimately we're responsible for their actions.
Yeah, the ethical considerations are absolutely paramount here.
Yeah.
We need to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly, that it aligns with our values and that it benefits humanity as a whole. And the book actually gives a pretty good overview of the different approaches to AI regulation being taken around the world. And it highlights this need for, careful consideration and really proactive measures.
But it's hard, right? Because AI is evolving so rapidly.
It is.
Regulations can't keep up.
Yeah, it's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. So what do we do?
Well, I think we need to be thinking about flexible regulatory frameworks, frameworks that can actually adapt as AI advances. The goal shouldn't be to stifle innovation, but to guide it.
Right.
In a direction that benefits everyone.
So encourage responsible development.
Yes.
But also anticipate and try to mitigate potential risks.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's a delicate balance for sure.
It is.
But what strikes me as the most important thing here is that we're having these conversations now before AI becomes so advanced that it's beyond our control.
We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Yes.
And I think that's so crucial. I wholeheartedly agree. We need to be thinking about the long-term implications of AI agency.
Yeah.
Are we building a future where AI empowers humanity, not the other way around?
Right.
I mean, the decisions we make today, they're going to have ripple effects for generations to come.
So we've explored these philosophical and ethical dimensions. We've
Yeah.
looked at the regulatory challenges and this potential for AI to become this partner in progress.
Yeah.
Out of all of that, what for you stands out as the most significant takeaway?
I think for me, it's this realization that AI agency, it's not just some far-off science fiction concept anymore. It's happening now.
Yeah.
It's influencing our lives in ways we might not even realize.
Right.
And it's only going to become more pervasive.
Yeah.
And I think it's not about fearing the rise of the machines. It's about understanding this powerful force and shaping its development
Yeah.
to make sure that it serves humanity.
Yeah, I think that's a key point. This deep dive, it's given us a glimpse into a future that's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
It is.
But it's not about whether we should embrace AI. It's about how we can shape it so that it enhances our lives and helps us solve some of the world's most pressing challenges.
We've only scratched the surface, but hopefully, it's given you a better understanding of this incredibly complex and rapidly evolving field. And hopefully it sparks some questions and ideas that you'll continue to explore.
It definitely has for me. I mean, this whole conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking.
Good.
It's clear that AI agency is a game changer with the potential to revolutionize everything from healthcare to transportation to even our very understanding of consciousness itself.
Yeah, and as with any powerful technology, there are inherent risks and rewards.
Right.
And we need to navigate this new landscape thoughtfully, collectively, make informed decisions that ensure AI benefits all of humanity.
Be beautifully put. I think this feels like the perfect moment to maybe pause and let all of this sink in.
Yeah, take a breath.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore. It's wild to think we started with like the humble thermostat.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about self-driving cars, philosophical debates about intention, AI actually being used in healthcare, all this stuff. It's like we've gone from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey from the inner workings of a simple device to the mind-boggling potential of, self-driving cars and even the possibility of AI consciousness.
Yeah. And it's made me think a lot about, what it even means to be human.
Right.
Like if AI can do all these things that we used to think were uniquely human, like writing poetry or composing music or even like making these strategic decisions, where does that leave us? What makes us different?
Yeah, it's like AI is forcing us to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And really define what makes us special, what sets us apart from the machines that we create.
So what is it? What are those qualities that define our humanity in a world where machines are becoming more and more capable?
Well, I think, it's our creativity, our empathy, our capacity for moral reasoning, ethical judgment. These are the things that I think are going to become even more important as AI continues to evolve.
So it's not about like being scared of the machines taking over. It's about understanding their potential.
Right.
And making sure that we're using this technology
Responsibly and ethically.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that the future of AI, it's not preordained. We're shaping it with every decision we make,
Right.
every line of code we write, every conversation we have.
Yeah, we can't just sit back and wait to see what happens. We
Right.
have to be actively involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to ask those tough questions. We need to demand transparency, accountability from the people developing these powerful technologies.
Yeah, and we need to be prepared for the unexpected.
Right.
Because, I mean, like we talked about, emergence is unpredictable. The systems we create today, they might evolve in ways we can't even imagine. So we have to be able to adapt, as we go.
Absolutely. Embrace the uncertainty, but also, work to guide AI development in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
It's like we're going on this grand adventure,
Yeah.
full of promise and a little bit of peril too.
Yeah.
Right.
With careful planning, with thoughtfulness, with a commitment to our shared values, I think we can navigate this uncharted territory and create a future where AI enhances our lives and empowers us to do even greater things.
Well said. We've only just begun to explore the depths of AI agency, but hopefully this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and sparked a sense of wonder.
Yeah, it's definitely left me with more questions than answers, but it's ignited this passion to really understand this transformative
That's
technology
great.
and its impact on our world.
Remember, the future of AI, it's not set in stone. We are creating it together. So keep those minds curious, keep asking those challenging questions, and keep engaging in this incredibly important conversation.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI agency. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining all the possibilities.